Welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show, where we help top leaders find their pathway to incredible success and a lifetime of happiness. Here is your host, Tom Dutta, the Quiet Warrior.
Well, welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show. My name is Tom Dutta. I'm the host. And today we're live streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm excited today to have on my show an incredible guest. I got to tell you that we've been trying to get this together for a while, and the excitement has been building. So everybody, this is really all about the guest today. So welcome to the show, Dr. Shellie Hipsky. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on the Quiet Warrior. This has been a long time coming, Tom.
Yes, and I've read books and I've learned so much more about you, so I think it's going to be a deep conversation. But let me start off. Yeah, thank you. Let me start off by asking you a question. What's one thing about you that you think most people don't know about you?
Ooh. I'm very authentic and I put my whole life out there, but I don't know that everyone knows that there have been 3 times in my life that I've lost 65 pounds. 2 of them, I gave birth to babies. The other one, I set a goal to become certified in kickboxing. And so I can really make it happen in the ring.
Wow. Well, that's a first. I mean, I can see on video, and I got to be careful. You might kick my butt here.
It's okay. First of all, you're all the way in Canada. We're good.
Yeah. Yes, we are. And by the way, where are you at today? Just so we can let the audience know.
I am in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where my home base and my headquarters are.
All right. Fantastic. And as you said, I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Well, everybody, I want to tell you about the greatness behind Dr. Shellie. And I have a bio in front of me here. For those who are seeing live stream, you'll see me reading a bit. For those who will listen to the podcast later, you won't be able to see this, but you can come back to the YouTube. We'll produce that and put it out there. Dr. Shellie is a CEO of Inspiring Lives International, and it's an Inc. verified motivational media company. And there is lots to this. The American Chronicle called Shellie a top entrepreneur in the U.S. Huffington Post categorizes her as a fierce woman. And now that I've heard the kickboxing story, I'm kind of fearful myself. She's also the president of a nonprofit called the Global Sisterhood, a charity that guides and supports women and girls toward their dreams and goals. And I've been following that on Facebook a little bit here and there. It's pretty interesting stuff. And many awards. You've been recognized, Shellie. I mean, we could spend a long time just talking about that. Best Woman in Business, VIP Woman of the Year. You've published 13 books. Incredible. And of course, I call you doctor, and if you'll let me, I can call you Shellie, but you're a Ph.D., you're a former tenured professor, host of Inspiring Lives with Dr. Shellie on NBC. You've keynoted internationally, etc. It goes on. And what's really cool is that you've been featured on, I lost count when I started following you, over 20 magazine covers. I just like to be on one. And
you will someday, I'm sure of it.
On all major TV networks. And I'm excited to announce, and we'll get into that in the story, that your new book, Ball Gowns to Yoga Pants, Entrepreneurial Secrets to Create Your Dream Business and Brand. So now that you're probably blushing and I've bragged about you, and it's truly worthy, I do want to make a disclosure here that, and everybody will have to trust me, because of the name of the book, Ball Gowns to Yoga Pants, I put on my jacket here. This is the same jacket I wore to do my TED Talk. Usually, Shellie, I'm in my black tee, which is underneath, and I have my yoga pants on, a set of sweatpants.
Fabulous.
All right.
Love it.
Yeah, and you laugh, so it's great. I mean, I think during COVID times, I'm going to timestamp this show that we're pushing through a time where the whole world's changed. We really need powerful women and men in business to inspire the world. I think one of the things I already see here, everybody, that you may not see unless you watch the video, is that Shellie's big smile and that laugh and that exuberance. It's just amazing to me, the energy I'm picking up from you. Now, you've read some things I've written, and I loved what you said a minute ago about you put your whole life out there. They say, and many of the leaders come on my show, they say that behind everybody is, one person called it a chip on their shoulder. I call it the hero's journey, a life event, something that happens in our life and we decide to take a journey and do something with it. It becomes our story. So take us way back to the beginning. Just tell us about yourself and where you started and how you got to all this, and then we'll talk about all of these things you're doing.
Absolutely. So, whew, I don't know how far back you want to get to that, Chip, on my
Yeah.
on the
You
hero's journey.
you go, girl. As
Um,
far back as you want to go.
Okay. So I've definitely had the ups and downs like everyone else has. I have had things that made me rise up and want to fight for women's rights. And I mean, if you want to get into the dark side of those types of things,
Yeah, sure.
because I know
Sure. What
that
do you want?
with the quiet warrior, you tend to go deep, and I can completely understand that. I think that the first time that I was really truly disrespected as a woman, and that truly got to my heart, it was at a very young age, and I was 16, and I was date raped, and so I went through a process and a journey with a person that I trusted, and that set me up for some rocky living, some rocky relationships from there on out, and had some trust issues with men, I will admit. But I have been able to create a true sisterhood now that rallies around me, and some really damn good men too that are caring, and they have good hearts like you do, Tom, and that they have risen up with me and with these other women around the world to put us on the platform that we deserve to be on. And so that, I mean, if we want to go that far back, that's, I think, the first time that I really felt like, oh my God, I'm a woman, and is that going to be a powerful thing for me? Am I going to be empowered, or am I going to feel like a victim, or am I going to be a survivor and a thriver?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, let's let you catch your breath there, and I want to honor you and say thank you for sharing that. I mean, I do a lot of work, and I've had to learn about vulnerability and, of course, shame that comes with trauma. And you referenced my work. You know, my story would be the traumatic childhood. It's hard, no matter what. I understand, to come on a show and tell that story you just told. And I know, Shellie, that I'm just saying this for me to you personally because I love you and your story, that makes you appear so real, so real. So many people. I was going to ask you later a question. You know, when are you at your worst with it? What do? Do you go to your ego? And when you talk about all the things you do, it's very easy to get caught up with ego. But I tell everybody who comes on the show, check that ego at the door. When you said that, what you said is painful, and I know every day is still a struggle for you. As painful as it is, everybody watching will connect if they have a story to that. They will say, wow, she's just like me. What inspires me, and I'm going to ask you to tell us more about it, is I'm an advocate for mental health. When things like what you just described happen, not everybody comes out of the dark side. Some
Right.
people turn to drugs and alcohol. Some people even are suicidal. And unfortunately, it doesn't work out. But here I look at what you've done and all the things you're doing today, and where did you get the resilience, or what do you think made you take that and create this platform where you're helping so many people? Where did you get that?
Where did I get that? I think in a lot of ways I got it from, I mean, my parents are amazing, Tom. I mean, they are just fantastic, incredible role models for both sides of my brain. My father, very analytical, ran a medical practice as a kidney
Yeah.
specialist for 35 years. And then my mother, very dramatic and creative type. She's a writer, and she ran the local theater when I was growing up. So, and with that respect, I was always that kid that they would put me out on stage. So put me in front of
Uh-huh.
1,000 people, and I'm like, I'm in my living room. Let's chat. Let's talk. It's all good. So I think that they also taught me how to, brush myself off and get back in the game and make it happen and be the very, very best I can be every single day.
Well, that's amazing. I wrote down the word here, resilience. It is a characteristic of top leaders, and to take that story and then create the platform. So let's talk about that. I mean, there's some pretty interesting things that I've said earlier about the Sisterhood, and then of course the magazine, and you're an author, so you've got a lot going on. Start wherever you want, but how this is all, I call it your body of work, your platform.
Yes.
Tell us everything you can. Teach us something.
Oh, I'd love to. I love to teach. I mean, that was my original profession, was to teach. I taught special ed. I ran a school. I was an assistant principal. I was a professor for a decade, teaching future leaders and teachers. And about halfway through, I met a woman who really changed my life. And she told me that first inspiring story. And since then, it's snowballed, and the snowball's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And it went from the books that I was writing about it, to then went to the television show, Inspiring Lives with Dr. Shellie. And that's really when I became an entrepreneur, was during the television show with Dr. Shellie, because Inspiring Lives with Dr. Shellie, because I was an executive producer and the host, and bringing in these people, incredible people from around the world at that time. But then I went through a divorce, and I was like, oh crap, I can't be at the studio at the university and raise a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old on my own. Like, that's a lot. That's too much. So I got my handy dandy microphone and I learned how to do it as a podcast. And then the podcast was Empowering Women Radio. That then got picked up by 120 radio stations around the world. So we were in Africa, we were in China. And then I took the top 100 stories of that and wrote these books, The Common Threads, and they all became international bestsellers. I found out how women found inspiration, empowerment, and balance. So we went from there. And then from there, we did we did the podcast, and then we went to Inspiring Lives magazine. We did 16 of these high gloss, beautiful covers, the magazine. So we had the radio and the television and the books, and it kept going, and we gained momentum. And about halfway through my tenure as a professor is when I wrote these books. And so then I was really just, at this point, after 10 years, I was like, okay, like I can go with this entrepreneurial venture of this motivational media company, Inspiring Lives magazine, or I can continue to teach in a classroom, a small classroom at the university, and reach this amount of people. Or I can go and create this incredible, huge multimedia, motivational media platform and really let it explode, and let's see what happens here. And I retired at an incredibly young age. They threw me the party with the cake at the university, and I even have the clock somewhere in here.
Do you remember what kind of
retirement clock?
Do you remember what kind of cake it was?
Yes, it was chocolate. Of course. I love chocolate.
You and I have the same addiction. That's what contributes to my 65 pounds some days. So I want to just jump in there. Wow. I mean, my heart's growing so big here, just like the Grinch Who Stole Christmas, that favorite show I have where his heart grew 3 times. And I'm thinking about this and connecting the dots. And just so you know, Shellie, my brain works 3-dimensionally, and you'll see me say I'm going on a journey now. Some people who talk to me say you're so verbose and you never shut up. And I go, yeah, deal with it. But I'm thinking about the fact that the painful story you started with, which is incredible, to think how this trust issue that, and by the way, whether it's you or children or anybody's gone through where they've been hurt like that, trust issues are big. And so then we see you as a teacher, and then there's a divorce, and then you get through that, and you have young children. And then you create this platform. Tell us one thing, teach us about trust, and then I'll come back to where you were in the story. What kind of things did you do to take care of yourself and to learn to get past that issue?
Oh, so many things. I mean, I learned everything from meditation to, of course, I went through some therapy, which I think that label of people having a therapist, I think that needs to be ripped off. I think that
Yes.
I think it's a powerful thing to seek out an unbiased person to speak with that is educated in how to deal with it. So I think that there's a lot of people that have been like, oh, Dr. Shellie goes to a therapist. I'm like, hell yes, I do. I needed it at different times in my life. When I went through the divorce, when I went through the rape, there were different things that I needed to express to somebody that wasn't going to be judgmental.
Yeah,
Because people tend to go on that judgmental journey, which
absolutely.
can be dangerous, and it's the wrong path to take. If you have somebody in your life that is taking that, then applaud them and tell them that they're being courageous, for going into that darker side of
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, everybody come back and listen to this part of the show. It's a teaching moment that we hear about finding somebody to walk with that's not judgmental. Shelly, one of the things I learned is friends can't help us because they can't tell us the truth. They don't want to hurt our feelings, or sometimes they're not professionally trained. I want to put up my hand here and say I'm subscribed to your philosophy because I have in my care team, I call it now my care team, I have a advisor, a coach. I also have a psychiatrist, and I deal with depression since I had a head injury from a fall a couple of years ago. But also from my childhood, I didn't realize that things manifest themselves into leadership today. I know we'll talk about your book about entrepreneurship, but I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, people later in their lives who you find it in them, these horror stories. I call them monsters. And it's showing up in their work and in their relationships and in those private meetings where I have with them. It all comes out. And why I admire you so much is for saying what you did, that not many people find that counselor, that person. Finding somebody, everybody, to walk in your life with you during different seasons is absolutely important. And so, Shelly, thank you for that. Let's talk about the platform. So the books, you said you and all the interviews and things. Tell us a few things you learned from, particularly these women. I mean, courage comes to mind. The success. What do you have for us?
Oh my gosh. What have I learned? I've interviewed over 1,000 women over the
Wow.
years. I mean, between all the magazines and the TV shows and the books, and I
Yeah.
mean, so many have been so courageous to conquer these obstacles in their lives. And then what I've seen so many times, Tom, is that not only do they conquer the obstacles, but that they go on to help others. They do
Right.
that reach down to pull the other person up. Many of them have created nonprofits to support this. And so that's been so beautiful. I always think of Mary Kate Hood, who is a woman who has fed thousands of children a day in
Wow.
Detroit, Michigan. But when she, back when all of the automobile plants were closing, um, one of her friends, who was a principal of the schools, noticed that these children that were at her school were digging through a trash can, and she said, "What are you doing? Get out of the, get out of the dumpster, get out of the trash can." And they said, "We're looking for food. We're looking for dinner." So
Oh,
she actually took it on herself to create a nonprofit that fed these children, and that's the kids food basket in Michigan. And it's just amazing to me. But the reason, Tom, that she was honored by Obama, the president at the time, was that she not only did this, that wasn't the real obstacle that she had conquered. She also did it all from her wheelchair because she was a quadriplegic. So to me, like, she was able to use her brain
yeah.
to solve a problem, and she couldn't use her body. So, and like, she'll tell you, like, she looked at me in the interview, she's like, if I can do this, What are you? What is this? Get up, get moving. Let's do this. Like, so there, I've been able to interview so many incredible people, and I met Holly Berry, the Hollywood actress, and what she does for domestic violence is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I've just met these just incredible, amazing people that are just doing fantastic things. Like
Yeah.
even here with Eileen Gruba, she's incredible. She's a Hollywood actress. But when we took this picture, this was the first time that anyone had done a glamorous picture with her. And I was like, what are you
Wow.
talking about? She was like, at the time, she said, I get cast as a hooker or a drug addict. And I was like, what are you talking about? But it was because she had a limp, Tom.
Oh my.
Since childhood, she had a disability, a physical disability, and she also went through cancer. So when she would go in for auditions, that's all they would see. But
Yes.
once she was able to use the platform of Inspiring Lives to change up the way people saw her, things changed. Sorry about that. There we go. But yeah, so
I,
things
I
change when you can see it, and the
yeah.
perception changes.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that was planned, but that little camera shift was just when you said things change, and they did, and it was perfect. I,
That was
I,
definitely not planned.
I'm going to jump in and just get, you got me going there on a journey in my head, and again, I get angry my inside, and I use that to vent and create positive. That's the problem that I've seen in the world, that I call it perfect imperfections. And yet Hollywood and even magazines, and not talking about yours, by the way, here, but our children grow up, they come into the world, by the way, as you more than likely know, with a couple million neurons in their brain. These are little vessels that are empty. So we're born golden children, and then thoughts and emotions are wired in there to create thinking patterns. And the world tells us you have to be perfect, you have to achieve, and people think that I'm only enough when I achieve, or I have to, I'm sad inside or have something missing, because people aren't looking at my imperfections as positive. They're not saying I love you, you're good enough. And I'll tell you one thing that I believe, that no human being is perfect. Whether it's a limp, whether it's a broken soul, doesn't matter. I mean, the color of my skin, it doesn't matter what it is. There is no such thing as perfection. If you're faith-based like I am, maybe God is the only thing, and we'll never be like that. We can never be whole and perfect. I'm going on a tangent here because so many times where I've had leaders, and we're going to talk about your book soon about leadership, entrepreneurialism. I've had leaders come on my show, and nobody wants to talk about the imperfections. Nobody wants to share, the limp. And when they finally do, they become real, and that's when they have followers. People say, you know what, Shellie's just like me. That picture there says 1,000 words. So that is a magazine that I recommend everybody should get and read, because it has a deeper meaning behind it. And so I'm so impressed with that and the work that you're doing to feature stories of people who are heroes, people who have those backstories who have turned them into empowerment. It's just unbelievable. I want to tell you quickly before I give it back to you about a study that was done in Canada for 90-year-olds. And Shelley, they asked them, what was your biggest regret at age 90? And the three top ones, no order of importance, were, I didn't take enough risk. And I look at what you're doing, and man, have you ever taken risk? Number two, I didn't reflect enough. Have you ever reflected?
I've definitely done a lot of that.
And the last one is, didn't leave a big enough contribution or legacy. And I look at what you're doing, and you've already changed the world with this platform and what you're doing. So let's talk about this book that you've just written. Tell us the title of it and what's it about.
Absolutely. So it's Ball Gowns to Yoga Pants: Entrepreneurial Secrets for Creating Your Dream Business and Brand. And we talk a lot in here about my 10 Dr. Shellie success secrets. And one of them definitely has to do with that: being authentic, being real, getting deep, digging deep, because that's the only way you're going to attract in your dream clients and customers, and on social media, your followers, the people that are really going to resonate with you. You're not going to get them if you're not telling the truth, if you're not digging deeper than just like, hi, I'm pretty and life is great. That doesn't carry you very far these days.
Absolutely. I'm thinking about that word real as a leader. I mean, when you look at what you've done uh, with authenticity, if somebody's stuck and they can't be authentic, sometimes leaders show up in different ways. Sometimes they show up incongruent, I call it, to who they really are. And maybe that's because of a past trauma or a backstory or lack of self belief. What advice do you give to business leaders who are maybe having that imposter syndrome where they just they don't show up authentic?
Oh, I think that they need to take that time and get to know themselves. I mean, to thine own self be true and know thyself. I mean, there's so many sayings all the way back to, the Greek philosophers that have said you have to dig in and know yourself before you can find that right. Whether you're trying to find love, whether you're trying to find a good social media base, like it doesn't matter what it is. If you don't know who you are, if you're not connecting with that and you're not putting it out there, then you're not going to get the right person. And I did that time and time again. We said that I had some missteps with the wrong relationships. I did that time and time again. I tried to put on the happy face and, and not be genuine and not dig deeper. So now the smile that you see is real because I can acknowledge that I've had the down times and I can acknowledge that I've had the good times. I can acknowledge that I love to wear a ball gown and I love to wear yoga pants. Like I am a multi-dimensional person. It's not all happy times, unicorns and rainbows and lollipops, but it is my life and I love it because I am able to help people and I wouldn't be able to help as many people if I wasn't being real.
No, I think that's pretty cool. I love the title of the book, Ball Gowns to Yoga Pants, and actually the cover's inspiring in itself. Everybody
Thank you.
I've read the book. I mean, I highly recommend you get it. And by the way we help an author get known, and in this case, Shelley's known, but get the book known is when you get it, write a review for it. If you buy it
Please.
off your favorite, and the reviews other people read, and that helps the story travel. I wanted to talk about the word dream and just throw something out there for you because you're a dreamer. I mean, man, now see, we learned so much from the conversation, right? This is not scripted, but when you said about your mom and your dad and the background in theater and all that stuff, I'm going like, where did you get some of that from? And I always like to say that you are enough. Greatness is within you. Your parents were there to inspire and teach, do their best, right?
Absolutely.
But it all comes from within you. And so for everybody who's listening to this, I want them to know that you're looking at a woman who did it herself. Nobody else did it for her. And everything we create, this is something I was taught a long time ago by someone else, that everything we create is created twice. First in thought and second in the physical equivalent. And if I look at people like Napoleon Hill, who did the book Think and Grow Rich, which, by the way, it's not about money. It's about thought. So here you have the book and the platform and the podcast and what's next. And then COVID probably totally shifted everything for you.
Did.
Tell us about, I mean, you had this thought to create this, but tell us about how do you turn dreams into reality for people who can't understand that you can manifest anything. Even what you said when
Absolutely.
you lost trust in relationships, you can change the meaning of that. Our brains are able to attach different meanings to things. But talk about dreaming and turning a dream into something very positive.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? I can tell you and the story is in this book because
Get the book.
Get the book. Gotta get Paul Gets Yoga Pants. But just with a little girl's dream. I mean, my daughter, she was about 8 years old when she came to me with a list, and it had 50 things that I needed to find in her extra dad and my new husband. And I was like, what? I mean, she's a little bit of a precocious child to begin with, but it was amazing, like how the points that she had. I mean, like he had to have a dog, he had to love to read, he had to work really hard. Like there was just so many different things And then when I met my now husband, who we all call Mr. Ken because that's what the kids called him when they
I
first
understand.
met him. So when I met Mr. Ken, he was like manifested by my daughter, and then I had this list, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's you. You're the you're the one, and I was able to tear down some of those walls that I had built up and some of those trust issues because he was the right person, and I was able to really show him who I was, and he reciprocated by showing me who he was, and that was manifested true love. So it can be manifested in all different kinds of ways.
I can already visualize a magazine cover, Mr. Ken, and well, you change your name to Barbie. There you have it, right? So,
Actually, his dad is Ken and his mom is Barb, so they do have the Ken
oh,
Barbie thing.
okay, that totally was unexpected, and I'm trying to hold back from just losing it here. That's so that is so funny, but that in itself goes back to that trust thing we talked about.
It
And
does.
what I discovered is trust really comes from inside us. It's a thinking pattern that's put there from what somebody did or hurt us, and we really have the power to change it. So congratulations. I mean, that's amazing. I think you're saving lives just by talking about that.
Thank you.
The book itself, everybody, is something that you need. I suggest you get and you read, but it's a teaching book. And Dr. Shellie, when you were in university, or pardon me, when you were a teacher, what did you teach? What was your field?
So I taught my undergrad and master's degree students were all future teachers. And so now with COVID, I'm getting all these messages about what they're dealing with that. And then my Ph.D. students were instructional management and leadership. So they led companies, they led school districts, they led nonprofits. So it was teachers and leaders. So it kind of come full circle with that.
Now that's amazing, and everybody, I am plugging the book for a reason here because it's a book that I think you should read. That when somebody authors a book, they become an authority. I mean, we know that word. I think a lot of people who read books, Shellie, who aren't authors, don't realize that you have a view to the world through a lens that is exclusive to you. And when I find authors, and they're very rare, that write a book, but it comes from the depth of experience, those books are more worthy in my mind than others. And so when I look at what you just said about the teaching and the type of people you taught, and then, man, you started your own business and you created this platform with all these pieces. I'm sure it wasn't a straight line up. I'm sure you failed along the way.
Absolutely.
In that book, I remember reading lessons of failures and what you did to overcome them. So that's pretty amazing. Listen, as we move to the end of the interview, and we've got to have you back again to talk about some more stuff. I want to ask you if you have any advice for women, men, entrepreneurs who have that dream and they're stuck on the unthinking treadmill, I call it, of life, with a job or something. What advice do you give them with COVID-19 and the world that we can't even see it yet?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just going to take a little peek through this handy dandy guide here.
Please
Let me
do.
see if I can find one. This one's perfect for the quiet warrior. Dr. Shelley's success secret number 7 is entrepreneurs must buckle up for a roller coaster ride of emotions. And that is right there. And wow, have I ever gone through a roller coaster ride of emotions in this little interview and with my entrepreneurial journey.
That's exactly what we plan to do, is to get you turning upside down. It is. And you know what? You touch on something about emotions, and that exactly it. I mean, when I look at stats on how many businesses fail, and
especially right now.
Yeah.
Right now, we're all, there's so much struggling going on. I was interviewed in USA Today because of my pandemic pivot, because I was able to take all of everything that I'm working on, from my Empower You Masterclass and my VIP 101s and my Brilliant Business Boards and my magazine and my book and my Audible. Everything now is online. Everything is virtual. And that was a huge pivot for me. It was a huge pivot for my team. But it was a necessary one because now I'm tapping into that teaching stuff because I'm now homeschooling kiddos because of COVID. So now I'm doing like the ultimate mompreneur juggle. You called
Yeah.
yourself a manpreneur in your review of my book. I love that. But so yeah, so I am truly a mompreneur. I had to pivot like crazy. There was a lot of emotions with making all the changes, but it was necessary and it was a good pivot.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that word pivot up. I actually had written it down here to talk to you about. And there are a lot of people I'm talking to now in the business world where I am that don't know how to pivot. They're scared about the future. And in fact, we can't see the future of the world. It's changing so fast. But COVID
Yes.
came along and stopped. I was following you on social media, and I like the fact that you're so real, because some days your posts were like, oh my gosh, I pray and that so many things, and then all of a sudden your platform is online. I love the fact that you use the word team as well. And
Yes.
so I think egoless leaders, which you are egoless, they know that good people around them. In fact, my
Oh, it's
definition,
vital.
I want to share with you my definition of what a leader is. A leader
Yeah.
creates other leaders. That's their job. And so I see that in the work you do, that you have your team and you pivoted. Maybe there's a book about pivoting in times of change come in the future for you or I even to collaborate on. I mean, I think about
Absolutely.
this, they, what a paradigm shift is, that
Yes.
the rules of past, what they say once a paradigm shift is when what you did in the past to get where you are doesn't matter anymore. That's a scary statement.
It is.
And so
It
you
is.
literally wake up and you have to recreate. And even in my business, Shellie, and you're mentoring me, that I am a lead teacher trainer in a people development firm, my company, and I hadn't put my stuff online. So I had to shift to learn how to do virtual coaching, which is completely, some people don't even know how to turn on their computer and
Right.
they're on a bit. So I think I'll have you back in the future to talk about that when we get further
I'd love
down
to.
towards the end of COVID, because there's so many lessons. As we wrap up here, let me ask you to tell everyone where they can get a hold of you, your work, your book, all that stuff.
So you can find out more about the Global Sisterhood and Inspiring Lives Magazine, Inspiring Lives International, and all the fabulous things like Empower You Masterclass. You can do that all at shelliehipsky.com. So if you just go to shelliehipsky.com, you can also contact me. And if you are interested in writing for the magazine, now that we are online, we are also a part of the nonprofit, the Global Sisterhood now. So everything there's not the money exchanging hands, so there's not the advertising and things like that we have to worry about. So it's a beautiful collaboration with the nonprofit where we're combining our humanitarian work and our social media platform to make a difference in the world for women and children. So check out shelliehipsky.com, please, today. I'd love to hear from you.
All right, everybody, shelliehipsky.com. That's Hipsky, SKY. We'll put that in the show notes. I do have somebody in mind. I have a lot of people in mind, women who would love to write. I'll make sure I connect them to you,
Wonderful.
particularly with different cultural perspectives. Now it's my turn to honor you before I wrap this up. And I may not have told you this, but you're being given an award today. And I also...
Wow. I
Yes,
didn't
and
know this.
live streaming is fun because we interrupt everybody's airwaves, and here we
It's a
are. And
pattern interrupt. I love it.
this will sit on the platforms I mentioned earlier for people to see right away, but then it'll be produced. So you're all out there. I write these down. You probably saw my head tilting here when I'm talking to you. They're not scripted, but these are leadership words that I bestow on you, Dr. Shellie. The first one is inspirational. Absolutely. The second one is resilience. Going from the story we heard of the trauma, but through to what you've done. The third is authenticity. Pretty amazing. The fourth is love.
Oh, I
And
lead with love. That's how I roll all the time.
the last one is something that I got to say my wife had to teach me, because I'm such a serious guy. I mean, these muscles don't work very well. I don't smile easy. And given who
My
I am,
hinges hurt. I smile so hard.
what I learned about the power of fun. So the last word is fun. You are fun. There's things you do. It's just the aura in your face. I'm sure I've seen some of your sort of like Hollywood like clips where you're live streaming yourself when you're in the world you live in, and it's a lot of fun. So those are the words that I will attach to the show. And now we're going to give you
Beautiful.
the award. So those who can't see the video
This is so
behind me,
great.
behind me on the screen, do you see that image there, Shellie?
I
It
can't see
looks like,
it.
oh, okay.
Oh no.
Well,
Oh yes,
I'm gonna
yes. The
the
image up top.
screensaver,
Yes,
the
yes,
screen, my screensaver. It's
yes,
behind
yes.
me. It's the Quiet Warrior show. Okay, so I basically, when I created this show, the platform, I wanted around the world for people to carry an award, so they are all connected as quiet warriors. A quiet warrior is someone who takes that hero's journey and goes quietly, impacting the world with their story. And very few people will do that, as you said. Why did the lady who can't use her legs or what that was do what she did when others sit in their wheelchairs and wither away? They're heroic. The front of it's actually a coin. It's handcrafted and painted in the United States. Sorry,
Wow.
Canada. The front of it is the image of the show art for my show. And you see that guy there. He kind of looks like he's got some hair there. You
I know
probably
who that is.
he's wearing his black leather jacket, and on the back is actually it's beautifully illustrated, the hero's journey narrative by Joseph Campbell, which is really that journey that we all take through the threads that are connected in our stories. It'll come in a cherry box, and by receiving it, Shellie, you commit to always taking action with your purpose and passion and impacting the
Oh,
world. So welcome
I
to the Quiet Warrior
love
Tribe.
it. Thank you. I feel very blessed and honored. Thank you. I had no idea this was going to happen. Thank
Yes, and
you so much. What a beautiful blessing you're
you're
bestowing
welcome.
on me today. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I want to let you know that there's less than 50 a year of these that are rewarded, and they're very hard to get. And they are now in, I think, 9 different countries. And so
Wow.
the sister brotherhood's growing, if you want to call it
I
that.
love it. I love
All
it. Absolutely.
All right. So congratulations. And on that note, everybody, find this show when it comes out on the Quiet Warrior Show on your favorite podcast channel. Give it a high rating so you can honor Shelley's work. Get the
Thank
book,
you.
Ball Gowns to Yoga Pants. I hope I said that right. And
You
check out
did.
Shellie Hipsky. That's hip with the ski, SKY.com.
Think of it
Get the
as
book.
hip sky. Hip
There
sky.
you go. All right. You get the book, leave a review, and connect with Shellie directly. You'll be inspired. So, Shellie, thank you for being on the show, and I hope to have you
Thank
back in the
you.
future.
Thank you. Fantastic job, Tom. Take care.
All right,
Bye.
thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Quiet Warrior Show. Create is a motive-based leadership development firm. www.kreat.ca